Indira Banerjee, Judge, Supreme Court of India, to address the August gathering.
The Honorable, the Chief Justice of India, Shri Sharad Arvind Bobde, the Honorable Chief Minister of Bihar, Shri Nitish Kumar Ji, the Honorable Minister for Communications, Electronics and Information Technology and Law and Justice, Government of India, Shri Ravi Shankar Prasad Ji, my esteemed colleagues of the Supreme Court, Justice Naveen Sinha and Justice Hemant Gupta, the Honorable Chief Justice of Patna High Court, Shri Sanjay Kaul, the Honorable Justice Pandey on the dais, my brother and sister judges of Patna High Court, present and past, Chief Justices of other high courts present here today, present and past, respected former judges of the Supreme Court and other dignitaries present here today, brother and sister judicial officers, esteemed members of the bar present here today, the registrars, officers and employees of the High Court, ladies and gentlemen, and last but not the least, I should not miss out the youngest prospective member of the legal fraternity who was sitting in the second row till a little while ago. And I sincerely hope that she will be a worthy successor to her grandfather and set right the gender imbalance to some extent. It is a privilege for me to be here in this ancient historical city of Patliputra on this momentous occasion of inauguration of the new centenary building of this august institution. Exactly 109 years ago, on 22nd March 1912, the then Governor General issued a proclamation whereby Bihar and Orissa, which were till then part of the presidency of the Fort William in Bengal, were separated and were made a separate province. And soon thereafter, the Patna High Court was established by the letters patent of 9th February 1916. It's a repetition, but repetitions are sometimes necessary, as stated by the Chief Justice and certain other speakers. The foundation stone for the High Court building was laid by Lord Hardinge on 1st December 1913. In his speech on the occasion, he said that he was confident that justice would be administered from the new building. To quote Lord Hardinge, with courage and impartiality, to the terror of evildoers and to the triumph of every cause which is right and true, so that the High Court of Bihar shall earn a name for sound sense and good law. On 3rd February 1916, the High Court building was opened by Lord Hardinge with the wish that the labor of this court may be inspired with wisdom, justice, and mercy. He expressed the wish that the building itself would become an emblem of the great and weightier in its decision between the individual and the state. The High Court started functioning on 1st March 1916 with the Chief Justice Chamia and 6 puisne judges, of whom 3 were Indian legal luminaries, namely Justice Jwala Prasad, Syed Sharfuddin, and Basant Kumar Malik, a member of the Indian Civil Service. The High Court held circuit sittings in Cuttack. Even though Orissa became a separate state in 1937, the Patna High Court exercised jurisdiction over Orissa till 26 July 1948, when a separate High Court was constituted for Orissa. The Patna High Court, I must say, has lived up to the expectation of Lord Hardinge as expressed when the foundation stone of the High Court building was laid and when the building was inaugurated. This High Court has produced legal stalwarts and distinguished judges who have rendered landmark judgments. Many of the earliest decisions interpreting the Constitution emanated from this court. By a judgment dated 12th March 1951 in the Darbhanga Maharaj case, a full bench of Patna High Court declared the Bihar Land Reforms Act 1950, which had received the assent of the President of India on 11th September 1950, as ultra vires the Constitution of India. I mention the date of the assent of the President for a specific reason. This is to emphasize the speed in which the important issue had been decided by the Patna High Court in a matter of less than 6 months. This judgment led to the enactment of the Constitution First Amendment Act 1951, which inserted Articles 31A and B to the Constitution. The Supreme Court, in considering the appeal of the state, held that the obligation to pay just compensation was a necessary incident of the power of compulsory acquisition. In Bharati Press, a full bench of the court delineated the stringent limits to permissible legislation, abridging the right of freedom of speech, and declared Section 4(1)A of the Press Emergency Powers Act 1931 as unconstitutional. Bharati Press has since been relied upon by the Supreme Court and by several other high courts of the country. Unlike my lucky brothers, Justice Naveen Sinha and Justice Hemant Gupta, I did not have the opportunity to be a judge of this court. But I did make a few appearances in this court as a lawyer, particularly before its bench at Ranchi, when the territories now in Jharkhand were part of Bihar. However, as lawyers, emanating from this court, the judgment in Sankari Prasad, the judgment in the Kameshwar Singh case, with keen interest, we always looked up to this court. Personally, I can claim some affinity with the state of Bihar, as my mother was born in Munger, in her maternal grandfather's house. And at around the time when this High Court was established, my paternal great-grandfather, Bipin Bihari Banerjee, who was a member of the Bengal Civil Service, was the district magistrate of Dumka. That apart, we had some close relatives and family friends who had settled down in Bihar and in territories which were part of Bihar, but now form part of the state of Jharkhand. The memories of appearing in this court, this bench, and the Ranchi bench were indeed very happy. When the High Court was established, there was one Chief Justice and 6 puisne judges. Today, subject to correction by the Chief Justice, you have a Chief Justice, 29 judge strength of 29 permanent judges and 13 additional judges. Is that so? Which means that the judge strength has gone up over 7 times. Naturally, the space which was available must have become inadequate because there was increase in the staff strength. The bar had grown in the meanwhile. I congratulate the Chief Justice, the judges, the esteemed members of the bar, the officers and employees of this High Court, and all others associated with this High Court on this occasion. And I sincerely wish that the new building with better facilities, a good infrastructure will enable this High Court with its rich heritage to render justice with renewed vigor. I am quite sure that this High Court, the judges and the esteemed members of the bar and others will concertedly ensure that this High Court sets an example in judicial excellence and is able to uphold the constitutional values of justice, political, social, and economic, liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith, and worship, equality of status and of opportunity, and from a fraternity assuring the dignity of the individual, and of course the unity and integrity of the nation. I sincerely hope that this High Court will be successful in enhancing access to justice and in ensuring justice to the underprivileged, to the marginalized, to the differently abled, and all others who knock at its doors. I once again thank the Chief Justice and my brother and sister judges of this court for giving me the opportunity of being here on this wonderful occasion. Thank you very much.